This is Cape Cobra Leathercraft, Africa's longest standing luxury leather atelier. Today that legacy lives on through Justine Schäfer, a third generation owner, who leads a team of 65 artisans from their Woodstock atelier. Cape Cobra is not only a brand, but a full local ecosystem. From sourcing to final creation, everything happens in South Africa. Every handbag is shaped from ethically sourced exotic leathers, where nothing is rushed and nothing is repeated. A closed loop of skill, responsibility and beauty, designed to sustain both craft and community.
The people that make our bags is what I value, and really the purpose of the business.
Before this whole interview, I actually did a bit of research into the history and the origin of handbags. And I found that obviously leather pouches and things are quite ancient things. They've been with us for, millennia. There were things called reticules, which were basically pouches with drawstrings, and they became quite popular when people started carrying money. A lot of the reason why they had drawstrings and why they were so important is because women's dresses didn't have pockets. I've been thinking about why we associate handbags and purses with luxury and such high value, and obviously it's because we do tend to carry valuables in them. We do tend to keep money and phones and a lot of our life in them. So they're more than just a vessel. What do these bags mean to you?
It's funny you started with pockets, because I said I never wanted to get into the handbag industry. When I was young, I was like, I've got pockets, so why have a handbag? Bags are bags to me, really. The people that make our bags is what I value, and really the purpose of the business, Obviously we make beautiful bags and everything's about quality and creating locally, but I think just the purpose behind the bag is what holds value to me. And I'm lucky that they look good, So we specialize in producing and designing high-end quality handbags made out of South African leathers, such as ostrich and crocodile leather. We employ 65 local artisans, which have all been trained in-house. We make bags, belts, wallets, so we have quite a vast variety of products that we produce. South Africa's longest standing luxury handbag atelier, yes.
Your grandfather, who founded the business, came up with a name because he wanted to reference something South African, something rooted in the Western Cape, and the name Cape Cobra is very unique. It makes reference to the cobra, which is endemic here. It's something that you can only find really here in the Western Cape. They are known to be quite fierce. They are highly evolved creatures, and I think that I find them personally very elegant and kind of sophisticated and beautiful. But they're dangerous and I think respected by a lot of people. So do any of these connections come into play when you think about the brand?
I think strength. There's something about strength that I mean, we all know when the Cape Cobra strikes, it's that strong, that resonates with me, because I think you need to be strong to lead a company into 53 years. It takes extreme tenacity and dedication, and that kind of is what maybe resonates with me, is the strength. And then obviously we work with skins. At the time we still worked with Cape Cobra when the company started, but they're endangered, so we don't work with Cape Cobras anymore.
Your grandfather traveled a lot. He was in Cairo at one point during, I think you've described it as a leather boom or a luxury boom. He moved then to was it Lebanon, and
yeah.
then eventually South Africa to start the brand. It's a third generation brand, like you've said. He set out to create what you've called the most luxurious brand or leather goods company in Africa, on the continent.
Yeah. So crocodiles come from the Nile River. They're farmed within South Africa. Ostrich dates back to the 1800s. You know, the ostrich industry, there's a whole town called Oudtshoorn, which is, was built on the ostrich industry. So there's so much heritage in the leathers that we particularly use, which is ostrich and the crocodile. They're farmed locally, and those, I think that's why we pivoted towards those materials, because it made sense to convert a raw material that is available within our borders into a finished product. You know, it's like a diamond. They take the diamond and they beneficiate it globally. So to be able to work with a fully beneficiated African raw material and produce here is like a no-brainer, right? That's the way it should be. So we first started, we were working with springbok and gemsbok and all these like more African, what you would see as African leathers, right? Not the luxury leathers of the world. And eventually we evolved more into the luxury leather sphere, which also came with the quality, I think. There's something more refined about a crocodile bag or an ostrich bag than about a springbok bag, for instance.
You slowly got pulled into the family business, voluntarily, involuntarily, maybe. Somehow you got looped in. I think, is it fair to say that the material interest is what grabbed you? And then you started in quality control inside the business and working with the actual material every day, making sure that the quality was up to a very high standard. Tell me a bit about your relationship with the material specifically.
Oh, it's a love affair. It just gets better as you work with it more. It's such a special, it's a privilege, first of all, to work with these leathers, right? They're special and they're rare, and every leather is different. And I think when you start like realizing the variances and the complexities of the leather and the scarring and the dye batches, and you realize how rare and how exclusive these leathers are. You could like lay them out and go and find your one. I don't like to advise my clients as well when they go, which one would you pick? I'm like, this is your decision, because there's a connection that's built with one of a kind, right? With something that is yours and that has a pull. There's a pull. I've always been more absorbed into the uniqueness of the beauty of the leather. Like that for me is way more sophisticated than having a branded handbag, is being able to earn something that is truly unique. That's special, Because of the exotic skins, we're quite limited, not limited, but we have like we're limited in our design. You can't design a massive bag that, either it's going to hit price or it's going to, you're going to have to panel because the skin is only so big. We also struggle a little bit with like the softness, like a super slouchy bag is not suitable for exotics necessarily, because the leather has more structure, more depth, etc. So there are limitations in design that come through the material, but when we design to best show off the skin. We don't want to put like patterns in the middle and like a lot of pleating and rouging, because it takes away from the raw material. So we actually, our designs are generally quite clean, like quite a clean surface, so that we can show off the material in its truest form. All of our leathers on the outer are still cut by hand. So we have an artisan that's been in training for decades, and they cut all of the exteriors, the panels, based on the quills and the pattern that they're centered, that we get the maximum quill beauty, cutting around imperfections, etc. A bag will spend about 2 days just being prepared in terms of leather. So that's the skiving of the leather, the splitting, the reinforcement.
Wow.
You know, these kind of grooves, and they become a problem actually when you put them through a machine because they're a hazard. It's not a flat piece of leather that you're just throwing through the machine, you know. I'm not a leather person. It's like I work in bags, but I work in exotics. We're highly specialized in what we do. If you took me to a leather factory, I'd learn so much, you know, like I'm novice in leathers, I would say. So there's so much to learn, and even like with colors, this is crazy. You have like you make a blue bag and you make a black bag, and the dyes and the leather are different, and they give the bag a different structure. So there's so much to learn, and you're always learning, I think, and you know, by making mistakes you learn.
I'm very interested in traceability and in understanding the full life cycle of a material and a product. And you mentioned earlier the Karoo and Oudtshoorn, where the ostrich leathers come from. How important is it for designers and product makers to look back down the supply chain and tell that whole story?
Oh, it's like my starting point when I do anything is what can you do? Like what can we do? You know, like when you work with a new artisan, what can we do? Because it's the value chain is everything, you know, like where it comes from, the traceability, the way that it can be reproduced, etc. The ostrich industry I can go on about. I love it. Like I'm highly passionate about it, and it's sad that the world has seen exotics as in a very negative space. Ostriches are farmed in the Karoo, which is an arid region. So you have no deforestation, like when you're farming cattle, for instance. It's their natural habitat. They use an eighth of the amount of water compared to cattle, which,
wow.
You know, so if you think about drought and stuff, it's a really good animal to farm. It's all rather small scale farming, you know. I think they farm around 160,000 birds per annum, which is quite low compared to like cattle. They also use the leather, the feathers, the meat. I mean, the meat industry is huge for ostrich.
Massive.
I mean, it's a very, very healthy, low cholesterol meat, so it gets exported. Feathers, the bones,
the eggs,
and the eggs. So every single component of the ostrich is used. So I think and when you go and you see what people are doing and how much pleasure or purpose they have in their task and in their craft, which would be like sorting the feathers or sorting the ostrich eggs into the different grades, etc. And you see that like this whole industry adds so much more value than just, you know, leather. It goes all the way down to the feather guy, you know, because during COVID there was no feather industry, for instance. There was no burlesque and there was no need for couture or whatever, so everything went to feather dusters, you know. And suddenly what used to be this beautiful feather emporium where you would walk in and everything was color and it was like bouncing like out of like, it's beautiful, and then it was all gray, you know, because that's what happened. So it shows you how important it is to support all the way down, or to support the craftsman, because it goes all the way. That's the break, sorry.
Lunchtime.
Yeah, lunchtime. So who's working with it, and what can we do with it? And that allows you to design and create in a sustainable way, right? Because that's also sustainability, is creating within the ecosystem.
We're speaking about material, we're speaking about creativity, and I saw a little video that you made for Instagram in your atelier where you're showing some of the process and how it's made. Luxury houses generally don't really tend to do that. They want to keep the process kind of behind closed doors, and you really just experience the final product.
Yeah.
How important is the process, showing the process, educating people around the incredible materials you use. How important is that in your overall storytelling of the brand?
It's everything. To be honest, I just think, how do we educate people? How do we get people emotionally involved? You know, when you see somebody make something, like there's something very raw about that. Like, and it evokes, I really believe it evokes like an emotion in us when we see handcraft, and people put love into something, and people take pride and have purpose in something. When you see that, it opens up your mind. And I think like showing people the process of, and having them be part of the factory and how everything, that's for me the best. Like my favorite, if I have a stress day, I'll go hide in the factory, you know. It's like, because that's where beauty's made, and where like when you work with artisans and people that take pride in what they do, it's something really special, you know. And seeing also something being converted from a piece of leather to a beautiful finished piece with a bag with all the different components and the little things and all the steps and the intricacies. Yeah. Suddenly you look at it and you go like, whoa, it's actually not that expensive, you know, because you never realize how many hands. There was that campaign where they put the coal on the charcoal on the hands, and then it was like it went through. I love that. I saw that, yeah. Because it's like you have no idea. And when I go like, okay, now we're going back to the farm and to the tanneries and stuff, and how many hands this piece of leather went through to get to a finished product, it's so special. When
I arrived here, I couldn't believe how many different rooms there are, and this one guy does literally just the gold plating on the buckle, and this other guy literally just spends all day just closing the edges, sealing the edges of the exposed leather, and another lady is there busy cutting out little stencils. You know, it's really the amount of hours, the amount of labor that goes into crafting one of these. It's like an art piece. And
I think a lot of people are also afraid, you know, like there's an element of fear into showing what you do, and not because you're embarrassed or anything, but because you're afraid of copy. But if you want to copy this, go for it, you know, like go for it. You'd be good luck, have fun. I'll see you in a couple of years and you'll tell me what a mistake it was. No, it takes years to build this up, right? I mean, I've been blessed with a company that exists and that works. My father also, he spent a lot of time putting it back into the people and into the craft and into the components, and not giving up, and you know, like, and being able to show and have an open book and let people in, you know. And I think it's highly important that consumers start knowing where their stuff comes from, because I think it's important that consumers are part of more than just buying, that they can create, you know, and that they can know that they own something truly unique, and that they also have a say in what they get. So if they like the shape and they want to make it in red, and it's not available in red on our website, or you know, as part of that collection, we offer that customization option.
Can I just grab this one bag? Sure. So what does this particular bag mean to you? So
this is actually the first bag that my grandfather made for my grandmother. And the bag was actually, so it wasn't made in Cape Cobra. It was made in Cairo at a company that he was working for at the time, which was Rivoli. But I don't know, I mean, like, what's not to love, you know? This is like where it all began for us, you know, like his love for the craft. And you know, I think it's just, again, here you've got something, this bag's probably like, I'm gonna guess 65 years. I should probably ask my grandmother. Probably like 65 years old, and it still exists in like in a beautiful way, you know. And I look at it as well, and I get inspired by the way that they would craft, because we've also it's hard because we're in a world with this like quick, fast, let's go. slap it together, finish, and go. And here, when I look at this and I look at the way that the edges are turned and the way that the stitching has been done with old machines, right? Not with the technology we're working with now. And I think about the craft and the beauty and the timelessness and the respect to production. It reminds me of that. Like we spoke about the cobra snake early on. I found this bag. I was looking for a frame. One of my clients was looking for this frame and she wanted to have a bag. And I found this frame or the bag, a finished bag with the frame, on like a resale website. And I was like, oh my gosh, yes, I'm gonna get it. And then I'm gonna take it apart and we're gonna make her bag, right? And I got the bag. It was made out of cobra leather at the time. And I got the bag and I looked at it and I was like, not a shit. I'm not taking this thing apart.
Can't touch it.
It's pristine.
Wow.
The artist, like the craftsmanship, the heritage to craft, you know, that commitment to quality is in these pieces. And for me, they are like our constant reminder of where we came from. So this piece actually is special to the family. And my grandmother's celebrating her 90th birthday on the 18th of December. And we are going to be launching a limited run of this particular bag to celebrate her 90th. So it is also going to carry on for a couple more years in new, yeah.
You know, in terms of creativity, I wondered about how you said that you did a rebranding about 8 to 10 years ago.
Mm-hmm.
How were you able to do that, not lose the essence of what you guys stand for, but to push the company in a new forward direction, in a fresh direction?
It really actually takes years. You know, like I came in here not guns blazing. I came in, I sat in quality control for a couple of years. But when you think you know everything.
Yeah.
Let's be honest. We're young, we're ambitious, we think we know everything. It takes years. I'm still learning. Like I've been so blessed that I have been able to spend time with my grandmother, my father, my uncle in the business and learn. And you know, like sometimes just take a step back and learn and listen. And how do you recreate something that has so much value, you know, and has so much heritage and history? You can't. You can only like draw from it and kind of, you know, incorporate. So we started off with a legacy collection, which was kind of like our foundation collection, and that was like revisiting historic styles. And we built this collection, and I think that was like our foundation, like my foundation, like reintroducing, taking old styles, making them a bit bigger so they could fit the phones, right? That's a real reality. For me, it is always like about being able to transition, and I think that is always true, like that transition from day to night, creating a product that is timeless and that is not like something you're going to dispose of when it's out of not trendy anymore. It's about the quality and it's about the excellence of like being able to wear it for a long time or forever, or pass it to your granddaughter one day, you know. But it's definitely, my grandmother still tells me what I'm doing wrong. She still comments. And then I tell her, it's a bestseller now, it's fine, okay.
Quickly back to your grandfather who started the brand. And I feel like he seems like the type of person, and your grandmother, seem like the type of people who weren't afraid of adventure and experimentation and like having and kind of grit and resilience and these sorts of things. There is this colloquial idea in South Africa that, you know, we are survivor type people. You know, we come from all over the world, you know, our ethnicity, and we scrap things together, we kind of put businesses together, come up with creative ideas to survive.
So that's the name of the game, is making up that. There's so much, you know, and I go back to South Africa, like we have our raw materials and stuff, but we don't have an infrastructure like Italy does. You know, if you have a leather factory in Italy, in China, wherever, in Spain, you have infrastructure around you that supports you. it's very different here. Everything is either done in-house, and we had to bring in a hardware factory from Germany and in order to produce our own hardware, etc. So you have to become self-sufficient. You've got to always be pushing and working with the materials we have, which would be weaving, embroidery, exploring what can we do. I mean, we're working on logos and producing logos, the metal components locally. It's been a year of just trying to find different suppliers that can produce the right quality. Still not there quite, so it's this constant push to getting to where you want to be, and it's quite it's challenging. It's very demotivating, but you know what you stand for, and I think that's why you kind of keep going. We're here for a long time, I always say, we're not here for just the season, and that kind of also allows me to go okay, we have an amazing idea, and let's work on it till it's perfect. If it takes us 2 years, then that's that. We'll launch it in 2 years. And my father, I mean, he will talk about resilience. He's like a pit bull. Give the man a bone. And no, he's the reason the company's still. It's a team effort, but he's the reason why it's still in business, because he 100% believes in what he does. He 100% believes in the country, in its capabilities, in its raw materials, in its creativity. COVID was really tough. I know it was for a lot of people, but it really was extraordinarily tough here, because we have staff that has been with us since the inception of the company. They're family. You don't let them hang, and we held on to everyone. South Africa didn't have government support. I think we got 1 month worth of pay, not like Europe or America, where your staff was being paid while you were closed. Our sales were 3% 1 month. Oof. So that was heavy. That was really hectic, and there were hard decisions and hard moments that we had to make, tough decisions, and we hung on, and we always believed that there would be a turning point. And there were a couple of moments where I was like, we're not gonna, this ship has sailed, and suddenly it just swung. And I would say those were really tough times. Thank God for that, because you can get through anything now, right? It's built super duper tenacity. My father handed over the company to me in June, and it was I've kind of been working hand in hand with him for a while now, and I knew it was going to happen, and I guess I was already doing it. But when it became official, at first I was like, yay, oh my god, this is so cool, ooh, new future. And then eventually just plow, I was hit by a bus, and I was like, oh my god, the responsibility of all of these people and their families and my family, now it's on you and your decisions. And that's really tough. No one trains you for that, I was trained as a fashion designer, and now you're running a business, and you're learning about all this other shit that nobody, I had no idea about, it's so multifaceted. And I would say that moment of taking over was, for me, bold, because now I knew that the future of this company and the people in this company are my shoulders, sort of, but it's actually a team effort, right? But the decision ultimately is yours, and that it's bold because I'm a mother too, it meant that I would be sacrificing certain aspects of my life. There's balance I don't think it really exists, as much as we say balance. No. So that, I would say that was for a bold move, was I couldn't say no, but obviously here we are.